Welcome to This Explainer. Let's be totally honest for a second. Today, we're cracking the highly calculated and often incredibly frustrating math behind Hot Wheels super treasure hunts. If you're a collector, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that uniquely agonizing feeling of staring at a massive wall of pegboards, hoping against hope for just one special car. Well, today, we're moving you away from blind luck. We're going to equip you for a calculated hunt by looking at the real numbers, the actual odds, and the secret visual cues that separate casual shoppers from dedicated, successful hunters. Here is a quick look at our roadmap for today. Number 1, the rarity reality check. 2, cracking the case system. 3, production estimates and realities. 4, spotting a super treasure hunt. And finally, number 5, secondary market resale values. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1. The rarity reality check. First, we need to validate a frustration that pretty much every single collector feels. You're walking down the toy aisle, checking the pegs week after week, store after store, and nothing. It really begs the question, right? Why does hunting for these specific cars feel completely, literally impossible? Well, most people just assume super treasure hunts are hard to find by sheer chance. But the truth? Mattel actually builds this extreme scarcity directly into their distribution model. It is highly, highly calculated. Let me hit you with the staggering reality of the math here. You are looking at odds of roughly 1 in 1,000. Crazy, right? Here's why. These highly coveted cars only appear in about 1 in 10 to 15 factory cases. And since a standard factory case holds exactly 72 cars, well, you do the math. Finding just one super treasure hunt requires immense persistence. So yeah, you're up against a brutal 1 in 1,000 ratio out there. Now, newer collectors often mix up regular treasure hunts with super treasure hunts, but they are vastly different beasts. Regular hunts, they're cool. They're slightly harder to find than your standard mainlines. They've got standard paint, plastic wheels, the little circle flame logo, and they usually resell for maybe $2 to $5. But the supers? That's a whole different ballgame. We're talking exclusive, deep metallic Spectraflame paint, actual rubber tires, what they call real riders, a hidden gold TH logo, and massive secondary market value. We're talking anywhere from $25 to well over $200. Moving along to Section 2, cracking the case system. This is where Mattel's distribution model gets really interesting. They strictly release exactly 15 super treasure hunt models every single year. But the genius part is how they distribute them. They tie a single dedicated model to specific case letters that roll out throughout the year, going from A all the way to Q. And fun fact, they purposely skip the letters I and O. Why? Because they look way too much like the numbers 1 and 0, and Mattel wants to avoid any confusion. Knowing exactly which case letter holds which specific car is an absolute game changer for your hunting strategy. Looking back at how this whole system evolved, the series actually launched with just 12 models per year between 2007 and 2010, before bumping up to the 15 we see today. But the really crucial shift happened in 2013. Mattel decided to completely hide the identification symbols on the cardboard packaging. They took the little flame symbol and hid it entirely within the physical design of the car itself. That single change made them exponentially harder to spot if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. Let's transition over to Section 3, production estimates and realities. Okay, I really need to emphasize a major caveat here. Nobody outside of Mattel actually knows the exact production figures today. The company stopped publishing those numbers years ago. I mean, the last confirmed numbers we have are way back in 1995 at 10,000 per model, which bumped to 25,000 in 96. Today, with industry estimates placing overall Hot Wheels production at roughly 200 million units annually, the collector community guesses that super treasure hunt production sits somewhere in the range of a few thousand to maybe 10,000 units per model. But remember, these are strictly unverified, informed guesses by the community. They are not official Mattel data. Even if those community estimates are somewhat close, your odds at the peg still feel pretty non-existent, right? That's because production numbers don't tell the whole story. Out in the real world, you're battling fierce local competition from collectors checking stores multiple times a week. Then you've got regional distribution variances. Word in the community is that U.S. cases might actually drop these cars a bit more frequently than international shipments. Add in resellers who basically intercept fresh cases, sometimes literally coordinating with overnight stockers. And yeah, by the time a regular shopper walks in, the prize is long gone.
Which brings us to Section 4, spotting a super treasure hunt.
Let's be real. Knowing the brutal math only helps if you can actually identify the prize when it's staring you in the face. You have to train your eyes to instantly filter out the standard main lines and spot 3 unmissable traits. First, the paint. Look for that Spectraflame paint. It has a very deep, rich metallic sheen that just pops differently than standard colors. Second, check the wheels. You want actual real rider rubber tires, not the standard plastic ones. And third, scan the car's body for that elusive gold TH logo. It's usually tucked into a decal or a subtle design element. Spot those 3 things, you've officially found the treasure.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, secondary market resale values.
All that extreme physical exclusivity and scarcity translates directly into serious money on the secondary market. But before we talk numbers, we need a quick reality check on how this market actually works. The resale values you see online are always fluctuating snapshots. Prices typically skyrocket during the initial hype of a new case release. People get serious FOMO. But then, once the supply levels out and more cars hit the market, the hype calms down and those prices usually drop and stabilize. Just to give you a snapshot of early listings for the 2025 and 2026 seasons, you can really see how high the demand gets. Models like the BMW 507 and the 71 El Camino have been seeing early asking prices right around the $85 mark. Then you get into the highly desirable castings like the Porsche 911 Rally or the Lamborghini Huracan. Those can easily command anywhere from $100 up to $150. And if you're trying to buy a complete 15-car yearly set, depending on timing and condition, early listings range wildly, from $400 all the way up to an astonishing $2,750. That is some serious cash. So what does this all mean for you? Let's tie it all into a concrete, actionable strategy. Step 1, learn the case schedule. Knowing which letter corresponds to which car drastically narrows down your focus so you aren't just blindly searching. Step 2, memorize those visual cues we talked about. Train your eye for the Spectraflame paint and the rubber tires so you can scan a pegboard in a matter of seconds. And step 3, shop strategically. Hitting the stores on early weekday mornings beats the weekend by a mile. Weekend foot traffic from other hunters is just way too high. Avoid the crowds and you instantly boost your odds. As we've seen throughout this explainer, super treasure hunts are rare by calculated design. It's definitely not by accident. You are up against a narrow distribution window, fierce competition, and those brutal 1 in 1,000 odds. But now you know the inside playbook. You know the visual cues, you know the case letter math, and the hunt is entirely in your hands. So, armed with the real data, which super treasure hunt are you targeting next?